Wolvie, time to wake up.
Rise and shine, Stubby. Wake up. Up and at 'em.
Fine then.
That's for all the clown jokes. That's for never calling just to say hi. That's because I get aroused when I slap people. That's for all the furry midgets in the world. That's because I feel like it. Why won't you wake up? Wake up! That's because the player keeps mashing the button. That's because I like slapping fleshy things with this hand. That's for being in more comics than me. That's for making me love you. That's for making me hate you. That's for never taking us to the prom. That's for always working late. That's for being short. That's for stabbing me in the heart. Literally. That's for never letting me fly the Blackbird except when I crashed it. That's for being the worst wingman in bromance history. That's because I want to see if the player will keep doing this. That's for all the hot gamer girls out there. Hey, call me. That's for being a total douche. That's for never washing the dishes. That's for last year's white elephant gift. Who wants a white elephant? And finally, that's because the whole setup just added 5 minutes of bonus play to the most awesome game ever devised by Mutant or Man. I guess he's not waking up.
Curious.
Looks like we're flying solo, boys. It's as if the next section was designed with that in mind.
What is up? For the final time, as a part of this K.Dot in review series, I am back with yet another review for another Kendrick Lamar musical project. I know this is an album, and it is an album, but I technically wouldn't call it quite a Kendrick Lamar album on his own, because we are talking about the Black Panther album, the kind of companion piece to the Black Panther film that came out all the way back in 2018. And I'm going to be talking about it here. We've talked about every single project at this point. After this video, I will have reviews on my channel for every Kendrick Lamar project, from Damn right after this all the way going back to Overly Dedicated. Every single project that has been released on streaming services. Yes, I could talk about a bunch of mixtapes, but like, Lord have mercy, it was enough work to get all this done. Let me tell you right now. So I've talked about them all, so if you want to go back and look at all those videos, you can click through my channel and check all that out, or you can click the little link in the description, which is my music discussion playlist, where it goes through all the albums that I've reviewed on this channel. But without much further ado, I'm doing this whole review series leading up to Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. That is coming out literally the day after you're seeing this video, literally the next day, or not even the next day, the night, like come midnight. Hopefully the servers update, because I got work the next morning, so hopefully I can listen to it and go to sleep. But yeah, the new album comes out very soon, so this is the final piece, and I'm going to be talking about the Black Panther album. Without further ado, again, let's get into it. So here's a couple pre-notes here. I was very hyped for the Black Panther movie when it came out, so, you know, with me being such a big Kendrick fan and me liking the MCU a lot and just being really excited to have Black Panther, this unabashedly black hero, be part of the pantheon of all these Marvel heroes, I was very excited to see this movie, and I was even more excited when they announced that there was an album coming out, a companion piece to the film. I was very, very excited for it. I will say this album is kind of the start of the more commercial Kendrick, I would say, where Kendrick has always had, you know, pretty wide appeal. We talked about it with Good Kid, Mad City, how he had some really great singles that went far and wide, even further than the album itself, I would say. And of course, you've heard Damn at this point. Damn came out shortly after Black Panther. Kendrick has always been capable of reaching the masses. And shoot, back in the Good Kid, Mad City era, he was doing songs with like Flying Lotus and like all these other artists. During the To Pimp a Butterfly era, he was on a track with Taylor Swift. So he's had mass appeal. But I feel like Black Panther is the beginning of Kendrick's I feel like the person who Kendrick was before Black Panther wouldn't have made an album like Damn, where Damn was still had a lot of his artistic hand in it and such. And I'm not saying, you know, that album was just a way to be popular or whatever, but I feel like this is him tiptoeing into that into that type of sound and into that type of vibe, where he's making songs that hit a little bit harder and just go for that more commercial appeal. But I don't think it's for the sake of going for the commercial appeal. I think it's just because he wants to play around with that sound, which I respect. So I feel like this is the beginning of that with the Black Panther album. And like I said at the beginning here, this doesn't really feel like a Kendrick Lamar album. He kind of made this while he was on tour. So a lot of the songs on here, there's about half of the songs that actually have Kendrick on it. And the other half of the songs either don't have him on there at all, or he's like in the background doing like ad libs or just like background vocals or something like that. The entire project has the taste of Kendrick Lamar and a little bit of influence and sprinkling of him, but they're not all Kendrick Lamar songs, which I feel like is obvious if you listen to the album, but it's listed underneath his discography. So, I'm talking about it here. I made a comparison to Re-Up from Eminem. If anybody ever listened to the Re-Up from way back in the day, I want to say like 2000s, early 2000s. This is definitely that type of album, because that album had a handful of songs from Eminem. Some of my favorite Eminem songs he ever made are on that album, but also you're getting stuff from members of D12, you're getting stuff from 50 Cent, you're getting stuff from members of G Unit, you're getting stuff from all over the Shady family. So yeah, this is definitely that type of album. This definitely feels like more of a TDE reunion, or a TDE family reunion, where it's not just the members of TDE that pop up on this album, which almost every member of TDE does pop up on this album, but it's also a bunch of other people, like a lot of friends of TDE, a lot of friends of Kendrick who aren't necessarily part of the Top Dog Entertainment label. So yeah, it leads to a fun atmosphere. I like it a lot. I can't believe that Disney let them make this album. Like, I know it's not the official soundtrack, and I know like only some of the songs were actually used in the movie, but like, it's wild that they let them make this album that is uncensored, full, like black as hell. Just, it goes in. There's one song especially that I'm surprised they even cleared for this album. But overall, yeah, I fuck with this album a lot. It's good. And I will say, if you care what I think about the movie itself, the Black Panther movie, I did make a review of that way back in the day on my YouTube channel. I made it, I think, the same night that it came out, same night I watched it. So if you want to go look at that, you can click through and check that video out as well. But we're going to go ahead and start the track-by-track breakdown with the first track, Kendrick Lamar's solo track here, Black Panther. I like this track. I love how quiet it starts the album, because I think of this album as being closer to Damn in sound. I think of it as being a little bit more loud, a little bit more fun, a little bit more poppy. So to have Black Panther come in and it's like this very like solo piano, very like I said, very quiet, a little bit dreary. It feels like Kendrick is kind of like leading you into his world, leading you to his mind. I think of it where I wasn't thinking of this at the time that I heard this the first time, because the movie didn't exist yet, but I'm thinking of Judas and the Black Messiah, where if Kendrick like is this prophet figure, someone like a Huey P. Newton. This is him kind of leading you through the front offices of the Black Panther building, and then he goes through the back door to show you like what's really going on behind the scenes. And then there's a little bit of chaos here in the second part of the song, where it's like King of the Buddha, King of the Forsaken, where you see like it's a little bit more chaotic than the very well manicured, very well handled image from the outset there. That's how I kind of read it when I think about Black Panther. I think this song is trying to invoke the actual Black Panthers more than it is trying to invoke just the character from Marvel. In my opinion, that's just the vibe that I'm getting off of it. Feels like Kendrick is speaking from the standpoint of a leader, where you could take it as speaking from the standpoint of T'Challa, speaking from the standpoint of Kendrick himself, because he probably sees himself as a little bit of, someone who speaks truth to the people that he is speaking to. Or you could see him as speaking from the standpoint of a Huey P. Newton. And I imagine, like, yes, this is a Disney property we're playing with here, but I imagine if Disney, I don't know if Disney necessarily would have squeezed this out of them, nor do I think necessarily trying to feel like there would have been more references to the actual physical real life Black Panthers if Kendrick was, allowed to do so. And I say that thinking, oh, Disney stopped him from doing that. I don't think Kendrick was really even trying to do that, because he probably knew the type of music he was making and the audience for it, considering the context. But I just feel like there was an opportunity for that. And knowing Kendrick, I feel like he would welcome that. He would want to inject that type of thing. But perhaps that's just something that I think about myself and just something I would want in there. But it is what it is. But the intro track, it's very short. It's very brief. It's a track that kind of lures you in more than it slaps you in the face. But I like that. I think it's an effective opening, and it kind of like gets you interested to see what's gonna precede it as we continue on through the album. And the next song here is All the Stars featuring SZA. Let me tell you right now, I'm just like everybody else. I love SZA so fucking much. I really liked her album Control. I know that's like the classic everyone loves. It's not like my favorite album in the world, but I did like it quite a bit when it came out, and I listened to it for a while. She just has a wonderful voice. She just has a voice that's just so radiant. Her voice feels like a hug, but it feels like a hug from like someone that smells good, you know? Like, she just has a very radiant voice, just a radiant presence if you ever seen her. Like, she just has such a delightful vibe. I'm gonna tell you right now, Lesbians got a W with her, because we lost one on our side. Let me tell you, God bless her, she is great. But yeah, so I just love SZA already. So, you know, her coming up on the chorus and in her own verse later in the song, she is great doing those parts. Kendrick's verse here, Kendrick kind of opens the song right after, you know, SZA does a little introduction there, and Kendrick's verse is so short, it feels like it's barely part of the song. I really do feel like this song should be SZA featuring Kendrick Lamar rather than Kendrick Lamar featuring SZA, because SZA takes over this entire track, as she deserves, because like I said, she does a good job here. She does a good song on most of the songs I've heard her on, so, you know, she definitely deserved to take front billing here, I suppose. But yeah, Kendrick's verse is fine. It's totally serviceable, but it's just a little sprinkle on top. It's the cherry on top of the main sundae that is SZA's voice. Also, the instrumentation here, it starts off kind of like, it's still effective, but it starts off a little bit more low-key when you compare it to the strings that get added and all the other extra layers of instrumentation towards the back half of the song. It just makes it come off as so much more grand and so much more like impactful than originally it sounded. Originally it sounds like a typical kind of like laid back pop track, but then it ends and it just swells in this way. It just makes you really, really prideful. And perhaps that's just me, because I remember crying when this track came on, not in the album, but at the end of the movie Black Panther, when the credits start rolling, they play this song for the end credit sequence, and I cried when this came on. And I don't know if it's necessarily the song instilling a sense of pride, but I remember just wanting Black Panther to be a good movie, and it turned out to be a great movie, and I just wanted them to not fuck it up, basically. And not only did they not fuck it up, but they tied into like stuff like survivor's guilt, and they tied into stuff about the black community in real life, despite it still being this Marvel property that has to live in this fantasy world. I was just so happy that they were able to pull all that stuff off. So whenever I hear this song, I think about that sense of pride I felt when I saw the movie, and just was so happy that, you know, it turned out the way it did. And then of course everyone went to see it, and then it's like, what, the third highest grossing movie in America ever, if not like the world. I forget. It broke a lot of crazy records that no one really expected. So yeah, they're gonna make another one of those. God, R.I.P. to Chadwick. I gotta say that, because, you know, he's one of the goats. He was already gonna be a goat before Black Panther, but Black Panther just locked it down even more intensely. So yeah, God, that was a day. I don't have it written in my notes, so I'm not gonna go off on a whole Chadwick Boseman tangent, but that's a great man. That's all I can really say, and that's all I should say before I get on a big ass tangent and this video ends up being 3 hours long. But in any case, I will say one thing I don't like about this song, All the Stars. It kind of feels like it just ends, like, doesn't feel like it like concludes in a way that is as grandiose as the rest of the song was. It kind of just, it doesn't even just waver off. It feels like it just abruptly stops, which I don't really love, but you know, it is what it is. At that point, I'm just nitpicking. I really like the song overall, though. And then it moves on to the next track here, which is X. X, of course, here standing for Roman numeral 10. But X is by Schoolboy Q featuring 2 Chainz and Saudi. I love the beat on this one. What I wrote in my notes here is it feels dreary but hard, like one of those parking lot hangouts that are illuminated by people's headlights exclusively. If you ever seen the movie, I think it's, what is it? Dirt City Kings. I forget what it's called. It's like it's the Meek Mill movie. Meek Mill Kings movie. Let's see what pops up here. It's like Draft City Kings or something like that. It's some Charm City Kings. That's the movie I saw. Long story short, Charm City Kings was this movie about some city in America. I forget what it was. It might be Detroit or something. I don't think it's actually Detroit. But the movie's about like this like gang that would have these swap meets or whatever, where they would have like a bunch of motorcycle stunts and they would like do little races up and down the street. People would come with their dirt bikes, just all these little motorsport things. And that's what this song kind of reminds me of. It reminds me of one of those hangouts, one of those get-togethers where it's the middle of the night, but the street lights are on. We're lighting the place up with all of our headlamps. Like we're just like riding around on these scooters, riding around on these bikes, riding around on all these little motorized things. And I can just very easily visualize that specific scene when I hear this beat. I don't know why it's that specific scene, but that's just what I think about. And I like the beat. Generally, I just think the beat is good. I think Schoolboy Q rides the beat pretty well. I think 2 Chainz and Saudi are also great, but I gotta be honest with y'all. I'm a sucker for 2 Chainz. I've always liked 2 Chainz quite a bit. I'm not saying he's like one of my top 10 GOATs or anything, but 2 Chainz is one of those people where as long as I'm not overdosing on him, because I can overdose on 2 Chainz and I do back off when that happens, but he's always a nice add-in to any song. I feel like he always like he brings in a similar energy every time, but that energy very well complements other people more often than not. So when the beat switch hits and it gets a little bit more amped, 2 Chainz does that thing where he comes in kind of like he's trying to rap really, really fast. But because he's such a mellow, his soul, his spirit is so mellow, at the same time it's like hype. It's like, all right, I'm getting turned up, but it's not like he's lyrical miracle in this shit. It's not like he's super fast rapping. It's just like he just comes in with that energy that just carries the hype. So yeah, I love 2 Chainz on this track. Like I said, I think Saudi is doing a really good job here as well. That back half of the song is absolutely incredible. And then Kendrick Lamar is on the hook here. Don't really have too much to say. Like, I do like the chorus. Like, you know, are you on 10 yet? Are you? I live on 10. Like, you know, it's catchy. It's fun. But I'm not really losing my mind about it. But hey, overall, the song X is pretty cool. Not the greatest song on here, but very, very fun track, I'll say. It's definitely a good listen. The next song here is The Ways featuring Khalid and Sway Lee. Now, it's brazy how this thing wasn't the biggest single on earth when it dropped. Like considering when I think about another Sway Lee track from another Marvel property, Spider-Verse, Sunflower featuring, what's his name, Post Malone. That song blew the fuck up. That song was everywhere. You could not get away from it. So I look at that and I'm like, Sway Lee's on another song here with another really popular, I would say closer to pop artist. I know Khalid is definitely a pop artist, but I feel like Post Malone flirts with rap so much where he's kind of like, how do you define him? But yeah, Khalid and Sway Lee, I felt like this song is just so pleasant. It's so light. I don't understand why it didn't just blow up on the pop charts. And I'm sure it was very popular. I remember hearing it for a while, but I just don't remember this song being as inescapable as Sunflower was back in the day. But in any case, The Ways is really fun. I like this song. It's not that I love this song like overwhelmingly so. It's just it's such a delightful listen. It just goes down so easy, and it just has a very like addictive vibe that I find intoxicating, quite frankly. This track feels unrealistically light and bubbly is what I wrote in my notes. I don't know what I mean unrealistically light and bubbly, but it is very light and bubbly. It's a great track, but the main thing that I have a problem with here, and I'm going to start doing this for all the tracks here, but I have a problem trying to figure out where does this song fit thematically in the movie. Like, what is this trying to portray? What is this song about? What emotion, what feeling, what perspective is this song coming from? Because you look at the rest of the track list at this point, Black Panther, that song ties into T'Challa's mindset. Like, I feel like you can easily look at that song and think, that's how T'Challa thinks. That is how he's been raised to believe. And then you go into All the Stars, and All the Stars is the type of track that you play, like, that's the opening credits song. Like, that's the type of song where you play that as you're panning through Wakanda and showing all the really cool, you know, sci-fi technology that they all have access to. That is the song that you play to, you know, it's kind of a showcase. It's kind of like a grandiose, like, this is the world we live in. Look how grand it is. Look how great it is. So All the Stars makes sense. X makes sense a little bit as well, because I feel like that's the type of song, excuse me, I'm swallowing a lot because I've been talking a lot this week. So this is going to be the wrap up of me talking, because good God, I've never talked this much in my entire fucking life. But yeah, I feel like X is the type of song that you would play at Claw's party. If you remember in the movie where they go to that party to kind of spy on Claw before he, you know, becomes a bigger threat, I suppose. This is the type of song that I feel like they would play there. So it makes sense in that context to me. I don't fully understand where the ways would fit. Now, I've read a little bit online. Maybe it's supposed to be like the love song for the relationship between T'Challa and Lupita Nyong'o's character. I'm forgetting the name of her character, but perhaps this is meant to show that loving relationship. I'm not entirely sure how solid of a description that is, but that's what I'm going to go with, because I feel like it doesn't give me too much else to go with. But overall, I think the song is really good. It's a very easy, light, digestible track. It's very fun, very pleasant vocals. Khalid and Sway Lee did their thing on the track, but it is what it is. Like I just said, I enjoy it, but it's not something that I'm sitting there. I'm never like craving that song, I'll say. It's never one that I'm like, oh, I need to go back to it. But it is good when it's on. It's very good when it's on. And then we go on to the next song, Ops, with Young Gun Blackrock and Vince Staples. Now, this is another Kendrick track. Kendrick opens with a pretty brief verse. I'll say it's pretty understated as well. I feel like the vibe of this beat is very aggressive, very like boom, boom, boom. Like it feels like almost tribal a little bit. But tribal in like a techno sense. Like it's kind of a weird balance here. I respect it, but like I said, this one is definitely the car chase theme, and I think they actually played this song during the car chase in the movie. It definitely has that energy to it. It's very like paced out in a way where it just feels intense. So I think it makes sense. I feel like Vince Staples' verse here has a little bit more energy than Kendrick's understated verse, and it fits the vibe of the song a little bit more, but it's just this cardinal sin of the verse is too short. I feel like all these verses are very, very short. Kendrick's verse was a little short. Vince Staples' verse felt even shorter, but I do feel like Young Gun snapped the hardest here. I think she had a pretty good flow throughout her verse, and I found that very intoxicating. It kind of gets you hyped up on the words she's saying rather than just the vibe of the song in general. And I really should be listening to more of her music. I really should be looking up these people. Like if I listen to an artist on here and I like their contribution to it, I should be looking more into their music. And she's one where I gotta check out. Young Gun Blackrock. Not super familiar with her, but perhaps I should be soon. Maybe after I listen to this new Kendrick that's coming out tomorrow. But nonetheless, she's on the list for me. But overall, Ops is a pretty good song. I like it decently, but it's not the greatest song in the world to me, for all the reasons that I said earlier. Now, speaking of people that I need to check out, I Am with Georgia Smith is the next song here. Let me tell y'all, the first time I heard this song, I was fucking head over heels with just the vibe of this song. Literally in my notes, Jesus fuck, I love this song. Now, it really starts with, and more or less ends with, Georgia's voice. Georgia Smith's voice, it's just so unique to me. I don't know if it's actually unique, but it has a very specific tone that I really like. What I put in my notes here is that Georgia's voice carries so much weariness and pain while still being as beautiful as herself. Now, that's a little bit of a joke there, because if you ever seen Doja Smith, she's painfully gorgeous. But, like, it's just her voice is just so, like, it sounds like she's been through shit, but it's, like, trying to push through the pain and still have some beauty come out. Whenever I hear her sing, it sounds like her eyes are closed and a tear is coming out of one eye when she's singing. That's just what it sounds like. And the beat kind of makes that come through even more, where the beat makes the song feel super melancholic. A lot of melancholy in this song. I don't know if I said melancholic right, but hopefully I got it right. It's a great track to vibe to. It's like a really good, like, when you're feeling sad, it's like a good, like, dreary song. But it also has a little bit of an upbeat tone to it, to where it's like, it's not things are hard, it's things are hard right now. It has like an underlying hope to it that I really appreciate in general. So yeah, it's a great track to vibe to in that. Now, as far as how this connects to the movie, I imagine this is a song for when T'Challa is beginning to see the standpoint of Killmonger. Like, I think this is like especially, I don't think these songs are necessarily going in order of the movie, but when I think of this track, I think of, you know, Ops was the car chase scene where they're trying to chase down Claw. I Am is like that scene where T'Challa's getting his picture taken from everywhere when he's on the street, and him starting to see like the outside world, noticing this new technology and stuff that Wakanda's been keeping hidden from the world. And then this is the beginning of him starting to go down that line of thinking to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't hide ourselves from the world. Maybe Killmonger is right. We should make ourselves known. So yeah, I like that. It kind of like, it just kind of, you can get tones of that internal struggle going there when you listen to this song. And here's another stupid thing I put into my notes. It has a similar vibe. I feel like I made this reference in another one of these K.Dot in review videos. I forget which one, but I could probably look into my notes because I have all my notes from the other videos here to figure out what I was talking about. But this song reminds me of the same vibe when you watch one of those animated Barbie movies that would come on Nickelodeon on like Sunday afternoons, and there's always inevitably a scene where Barbie and another one of the main characters, her best friend, they have like a big fight and they break up, and they play some like super sappy song as they like slow motion delete their contact information from their flip phones. Like, if you watch Nickelodeon in like 2004, this shit would be on like every other Sunday afternoon. It was because like I'd get out of church and want to like just watch the Nickelodeon, and this is what will be on, and after time I'd be like, fuck it, I don't want to change the channel, so here I am. It gives me that vibe. This song gives me that vibe, and you know, it's a little bit melancholic, but it's also, like I said, it's only trouble right now. It has a little bit of hope there at the end with the Kendrick Lamar backed vocals towards the end. It feels a little bit hopeful, like they're digging themselves out of that bad place. So I respect it. I like it. And I said earlier that I needed to check out these people if I listen to a song from them on a project like this and I like them. I need to go out and look at their other stuff. Literally re-listening to this album for this video, I said, you know what? Let me listen to some Georgia Smith. Let me see what else she's got. Lost and Found, I think it's her, I don't know if it's her debut album necessarily, but it's the first one that's on Spotify. Y'all, that album's great. I love that album so much. It is so pleasant. She gives me vibes of Alicia Keys, but like early Alicia Keys before she got commercial. Not saying that she's bad now, but like Alicia, like songs in A minor Alicia Keys, a lot different than, you know, Woman on Fire Alicia Keys and so on and so forth. But yeah, Georgia Smith, fucking great. I am definitely going to be listening to more from her. Lost and Found is a great album. But I will say my biggest issue with this track is that not Lost and Found, I Am is super placed awkwardly on this track list because Ops, super high energy, literally a car chase song, and then you have this depressing, not necessarily depressing, but like this very somber, very low-key, very melodic track. And then right after, you have the fucking street anthem of this entire album. Let's get into it, y'all. Paramedic with SOB RBE. I love this song. Now, this is the main track on here where I am like, I can't believe Disney let this album go through. This song goes so fucking hard, and it's so ignorant in a way that I find so delicious. It just goes hard. I don't know what to tell you. It's on some hood rat shit low key, and it's also on some West Coast shit. Like, this song is crip walkable AF. I literally wrote that in my notes, crip walkable AF. It's just fucking great. Just a ghetto anthem. I fucking love it. I love there's even some really good lines on here. My favorite line of the whole song is "New Baby Chop, let it sing. It's a Drake nigga." Like, come on, like like a reference to Drake the singer, you know, let it sing. But like, God, it's just like little bars like that just fucking get me. This song just goes so hard. It makes me want to get ignorant whenever it comes on. I just want to fucking throw whatever I was doing up in the air and just turn the fuck up. Now, as far as thematically, how does this tie into the movie? I feel like this track is kind of like showing Killmonger's environment, kind of showing why he is the way that he is, how he had to live in that environment, you know, living in, I forget if it's actually Compton or just like some hood in LA or something like that, but living in that environment, I feel like this is kind of portraying what that environment was like for him. So that's how I interpret it. But this track, really, to be honest with you, I was listening to SOBRBE for like a couple months after this album dropped, because I was like, yo, that song was incredible. Let me see if the rest of their stuff goes as hard as this. And ultimately, their production isn't that great. Like, I've listened to some other songs from them, and they got some great songs. Calvin Cambridge, excellent SOBRBE song. I recommend that to anybody. But like, not all of their songs have great production. Sometimes it's like, it is a little bit amateurish. This comes off as like a mixtape from 2006 in some ways, but flow wise, they are fairly consistent. And you know, they're not as, you know, completely perfect as I would like, but they're very, very solid. Definitely some folks that I can recommend. So yeah, Paramedic, one of my favorite songs on this entire project. I think it is absolutely incredible. And then we go on to the next track by the name of Bloody Waters, featuring Ab-Soul, Anderson .Paak, and James Blake. Now, I'm gonna keep it real, especially after this massive energy spike with Paramedic. Going to Bloody Waters right after that feels like we're just going way, not like a massive dive in vibe and massive dive in energy, but it just goes decent. Like, this song is totally fine. There's nothing like awful about this song. It does feel like a filler track. This is one of the first tracks on here to feel like a filler track, and it feels like just an excuse for Ab-Soul to just flex his muscles lyrically. Like, he has so many little pun bars here, little like, it's warfare, is warfare, nope. Like, he has so many little lines like that where it's like very obvious like punchlines and stuff. And I like Ab-Soul. This isn't some on some Eminem shit where I cringe at the corny lines. And like, even Eminem, like he has a lot of lines that you cringe at, but he stuffs so many lines into a lot. He stuffs so many like little references and little puns and whatnot into a line where it's impressive all over again. It goes from being cringe to me. It goes from being cringe all the way over to being somewhat impressive. Ab-Soul here is kind of doing that same thing, but he's doing it with a little bit more swagger. I feel like he does it with a little bit more pizzazz. So that is worth commending. But overall, like, it's just lyrical miracle Ab-Soul, which I like, but it can only get me so far on a song like this, especially when the beat is so chill. Like, Bloody Waters, I feel like this beat feels like I didn't put this in my notes, I'm realizing, but it feels like you're falling asleep on one of those inflatable like raft things that you have in the pool, but you're drifting out to sea. This song does feel like you're drifting away, which I think is kind of the point as well, but just doesn't make for a track that's super exciting for me. I will say Anderson .Paak is really, he's welcome on this track. I'll say that he's welcome. It doesn't feel like the track was starving for an Anderson .Paak type of feature for the chorus there. It doesn't feel like the track was like, oh my god, Anderson .Paak will give this track everything it's looking for. But it's nice to have him here. I like Anderson .Paak. I think he's really talented. I'm glad to see him finally get his. He's always been appreciated for many years now, but Silk Sonic took it to another level for him. So glad he's getting success. But this track, I'm like, okay, good to see you, Paak. Don't know if we needed you here, but it's good to see you. And I'll say someone who feels even less necessary on this track, James Blake. It feels like they changed the entire beat at the end and just broke everything down just so James Blake would have a reason to pop up on here. But also, where is James Blake coming from? James Blake, especially back in like 2008 or whatever, he was on every nigga's song. Half the songs I've seen of his own, he had like fucking Travis Scott on a song. Like, why are niggas working with James Blake? Not that James Blake is bad, not that he's done anything wrong. I just don't understand the connection. Like, where did his cookout invitation come from? I don't know why this man's always in our music. I don't have a problem with it. I know Beyonce was working with him too. Like, he, he gets a fucking round. I just don't know why. I don't know how. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing, because more often than not, a lot of the songs that I hear with him on it, they're good songs. I just don't know why he's here all the fucking time. So yeah, I just thought that was a little bit weird. And then I still also don't know how this track ties into the movie. How I'm thinking about it in a similar way to if you ever heard the album Compton, just straight up titled Compton from Dr. Dre. He released it around the release of the Straight Outta Compton movie. On that album, I think it was okay, I'm gonna have to actually look this up, because there's two tracks next to each other that I feel like are supposed to be having a similar vibe to this, and I want to look it up before I say that. I just had this thought, so I wasn't able to add this to my fucking add this to my notes, because I'm just having this thought now. But he has two things right here. Okay, he has a song called Deep Water, and then it's followed immediately by One Shot One Kill, where I think this is doing that, but the opposite, where on Dr. Dre's album on Compton, Deep Water was meant to be the kind of like more wavy. It's still like amped, it's still like a higher energy song, but it's supposed to be a little bit more dreary and a little bit more like disorienting and a little bit more like dark. And then you have One Shot One Kill, where it's like super high aggression, super like, oh my god, it's like it literally has like guitar, like rock guitars on it. It's like going hard, it's hard. It feels like a Highway to Hell type track, where I think they're doing the inverse here on the Black Panther album here, where Bloody Waters is very chill, very mellow, very like I said, it feels like you're drifting away, either literally in the water or just falling asleep. But right before it, you had the crazy Paramedic, I wish a nigga would, I love Paramedic so much, but you have that like high energy thing right there. So maybe it's that type of thing, or they could flatly just be copying the order of that tone itself, because right after Bloody Waters, we have the next song, which is probably the most popular song off of this entire album, the birthplace of several memes, King's Dead by J-Rock featuring Future and Kendrick Lamar. Now, here's a crazy thing. I remember seeing the press release for this song. I remember once I saw there was a press release for a fucking single from the TDE Twitter account, because this is back, I think, actually, I'm gonna check this one too. I don't know if this is still the case. I'm gonna look it up real quick, but I remember Top Dog Entertainment followed me on Twitter at one point. And I don't know if they still do. Reason TDE, no, I just need Top Dog Entertainment. Can I just type in Top Dog Entertainment and it pops up? TOPDAOU. I can't spell dog. I don't know how to spell dog. Is it Top Dog or Top Dog? I don't know how to spell Top Dog Entertainment. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to look it up in the link to this video. But in any case, yeah, back when they used to follow me, I don't know if they still do or not. There's too many people to scroll through in order to find it out. But they put out a press release for King's Dead saying they're going to have this song with Future on it, with Kendrick on it, and they were hyping it up like it was going to be this massive big thing. And I remember thinking, J-Rock and Future? What the fuck is Future doing on here? Why Future? And I really, like, the fact that this song exists at all is fucking crazy to me. Like, I do not think of J-Rock and Future being in the same echelon in any way. It's fucking buck wild. But I think ultimately, despite me being like, what the fuck is Future here? Because here's the thing. I don't hate Future. Future's put out several songs that I like. But when we talk about J-Rock, someone who I look at as, like, maybe not necessarily a lyricist, but like, well, actually, no, he's a pretty decent lyricist, but I think of his delivery being so important in a song. I think of his words being so important in a song. I'm looking at his words, but if a Future song comes on, I don't give a fuck what he's saying. I'm just trying to catch the vibe. So to have Future on a track like this, I was like, what the fuck is he gonna do? But I think ultimately Future, he does his damn thing on this track. I can't even lie. I'm not even saying that he like makes this track 100% great or whatever, but I think Future served this purpose. I think Future came on here, sprinkled his little seasoning on here, gave us an iconic quote, which, look, let's talk about that la-di-da-di-da line. That la-di-da-di-da line, it's corny as fuck. It's stupid as shit. But it got memed to all hell, and I guarantee you that made the song way more popular than it probably would have been without it. So, like, yeah, that fucking, it blew up. J-Rock's verse, I'll also say, It's uncharacteristically in line with the current, or with at the time the current trends in flows in hip hop, where it was very fast paced. It was very like, like not saying it was exactly Migos-y, but it was like getting towards that Migos side of flow, where you don't really see that from J-Rock often. J-Rock typically raps more typically like, like your early 2000s, like street hip hop, like that type of shit. He's more on that shit more often. So to hear him switch flows there makes sense, because he's trying to lean into the current trends in hip hop at the time. And honestly, it paid off. Like, this is probably J-Rock's biggest song to date. And I think J-Rock, he's been deserving a song this successful for a long time, so I'm glad he finally got it. So, you do what you can to get that money. I do not blame him. But yeah, I love the energy of this song. I think the entire song's energy is very fun. I love the energy of Kendrick, especially in the final verse, where everything kind of breaks down and it gets so much more chaotic, where it's like red light, green light, red light, green light, fast cars. And I'll say, how do I say this? I will say that whole fuck you man, fuck you John, fuck you train, fuck your way, fuck your daughter, fuck your message, like that flow is so iconic. I love that. Just that his whole section of the song feels so chaotic. And I will say, if you listen to Redemption, which is the song, or which is the album that J-Rock put out shortly after the Black Panther album, which this song King's Dead was a song on his album as well as this Black Panther album, that version doesn't have Kendrick's verse on it, which is very interesting. Not saying that's like some horrible thing. It's just like, yeah, it's interesting. They were like, we don't need Kendrick anymore. People have heard this song. They're going to skip past it once they get to the album. So it is what it is there. But yeah, I really like Kendrick's flow here. What was the thing I was going to say? Actually, no, I didn't write it in my notes, so I'm not going to say it because I don't know what the fuck I was going to say. I will say, as far as the themes and how this connects to the album, I feel like this is like the insanity of Killmonger, or like not the insanity, the frenzied anger. I feel like the last section where Kendrick has his verse, I feel like the frenzied anger of Killmonger is kind of built up here in this song, or at least kind of portrayed here, where you already seen the craziness of Paramedic, and then you've seen the like kind of reflective, like simmering rage of Bloody Waters, and then it's the rebirth of this more crazed, more deranged person in King's Dead. So yeah, I really like that. And yeah, I think this is an iconic track. Everyone knows this track. It's a great track. Still love it to this day. I'll say that my hype has died down, because when it first came out, I was like, oh my fucking god, this is fucking crazy. It was on repeat for days. But now I'm like, all right, it's a fun track, and that's just what music is, you wax and wane on it over time. Then we have another song here, Redemption by Zachariah. Or actually, first, Redemption Interlude with Zachariah. It's a fucking interlude. It's super fucking short. It feels like all prelude, no main course. It's just so short, and Zachariah has such a pleasant voice where I wish there was a little bit more to this interlude, or maybe if it was just attached to the song Redemption, maybe it would be better. But it is what it is there. I do really like this part at the end with the reverse part, where it's like that where it sounds like something's being played in reverse. I think it sounds so seductive. It sounds so good in a very weird, specific way that I can't quite put my finger on. I think there was potential with that sound. I don't know if it could have been stretched out to a full song necessarily, but the fact that they just introduced that sound and then cut it off like a good 20 seconds later really upsets me, because that sound had some potential to it. But it's not around here for very long. We go on to the next song here as I hit my hand on my table. We go on to the next song, Redemption by Zachariah, featuring Babes Wondumo. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I apologize. But this song, I like it. I like it a lot. I won't say love, but I do like it a lot. I will say I love the groove of this song. I think it has a very nice bounce to it. Has a very nice like cadence and kind of just, I said vibe to it. I think it's just really good. It sounds South African in the instrumental, which makes sense because the artist whose name I am fearing that I might have mispronounced, Babes, she is from South Africa. I did look this up. She is from there. So it makes sense that it kind of has like that, like the sound of that country. So it makes sense. It's a little lyrically bare, But this is more of a pop song anyway. You know, Zachariah on here, I love his little chorus. He's like, oh, baby, I want you. Baby, I need you. Baby, I see you. It just makes this song feel so much more light, so much more bubbly, so much more vibrant. And I really, really do like it. The vibes are immaculate, as I wrote in my notes. And I figure this is meant to be like T'Challa's redemption. Or maybe this is like showing like once he comes around to Killmonger's perspective, like this is how that shit works. Like this is how you should be treating Wakanda's, you know, wealth and riches. You should be using it to help solve the problems of the world. Maybe this is him coming around to that standpoint. I'm not entirely sure how strong that stands. Redemption honestly feels more like a, oh, we beat the bad guy, let's celebrate in the whole city. It feels like it should be that type of song. But if we're going chronologically in order of the movie, it's a little bit too early for that. But I do like the song nonetheless. It can be either of those parts to tie it back to the movie. But I think the song's really good. I think the song's really solid. And yeah, I just like it. It's very, very good. Then we go on to the next track here. Probably the last song here that is like depressing. This track is Seasons by Mozzie with who? Sajava? Hopefully it's Sajava. I am so sorry if I'm saying that wrong. And Reason, who I am very familiar with. So first off, Sajava, they lead the beginning of this song, and he is like, here's the thing. I am not sure what the fuck he said because he said it all in Zulu. And Zulu is a South African language. That is something where if you're from South Africa, or if that culture is inherent into your lifestyle, then you're going to understand what he's saying. And I honestly think that's actually kind of a boss move because this is the Black Panther album. If you're going to choose a really mainstream album to just straight up speak exclusively in Zulu, you do it for the fucking superhero that's from Africa. So it makes sense. I think that's a pretty cool touch. The side effect is, yes, I can hit up Rap Genius if I wanted to and, you know, look up all the lyrics and see what he's actually saying. But when I'm listening to the song, I'm not going to be thinking of the translated words. I'm going to be thinking, yo, this is kind of hard. Like, especially with the instrumental. The instrumental is super like kind of melancholic. It's kind of like I'm thinking back to the more depressing, more despair-filled days of growing up in childhood. The beat just calls for that. So to have him on here, his delivery really is what makes it work. His delivery feels like he's aching. It feels like he's delivering something deeply sad to him, or like almost like he's crying on the beat. It feels like he's bearing his soul a little bit. So I think it comes through, you know, even though I don't understand what he's saying, I think the emotion is still received by me. So yeah, I appreciate his verse there. Mozzie as well. Mozzie has a great flow on here, and he comes off really casual, which I find a little bit weird considering the tone of this song overall is pretty somber, and Mozzie just sounds like he's resigned. It seems like he's rapping from the standpoint of like he's seeing all these depressing things and he's trying to grind for his family and all this stuff, but he's resigned to it. It's not even shocking to him anymore, and perhaps that is also a depressing, you know, viewpoint to portray. But I feel like Mozzie's delivery makes that resigned feeling come off more so than the actual lyrics. And I like that as a separate perspective. But I still I'm torn on if that actually goes against the desires of the song or if that's just part of the song itself. So, you know, very small nitpick there. But then we move on to the highlight of the track, for me at least, Reason. Reason, I think Reason is so fucking underrated. If you don't know who Reason is, he's a TDE artist. He's been on the label for a while. He just released an album. I think it's called New Beginnings. Not that long ago, maybe like a year or so ago. I think Reason's super underrated. He was really good on, Dreamville project, Revenge of the Dreamers 3. He had a feature on there, and he had even more features on the deluxe version. I think Reason is super talented. I love his delivery. Just talking about his delivery on this verse, it's just so raw. Like whenever I hear Reason rap, I believe everything he raps. He sounds authentic. He just sounds like he's been through some shit. He sounds like there's emotion coming through his voice, and I really, really do appreciate that. And plus, on a lot of the songs outside of this Black Panther album, a lot of the songs I hear from him, he's barred up. Like he's got some good flows. He's got some good punchlines. Like homeboy can rap like for real, and it's really good. But speaking of his performance on this song alone, this song really did make me a Reason fan. Now, I'm not saying I listened to this song and I'm like, oh my god, my life has changed, but I did listen to this and I was like, who's that? And then I went to go look up his other stuff and I was like, yo, this is really good. I already said about his delivery, comes off raw. His verse, I remember the first couple times I heard this song, something about his verse, something about how the instrumental swells towards the back half of his verse, how they add in the strings and everything. It just comes off as like so full of emotion. It makes me tear up a little bit. Like, I get a little bit weepy sometimes when I hear this part of the song, because like I said, Reason's raw emotional delivery matched with the swelling of the music just kind of like brings up the emotion so high to where they kind of want to just come out. So yeah, I really appreciate that. And then of course Kendrick, you know, having his little interlude here to pitch to like the celebration, like that whole thing where he's kind of been sprinkling out these little interludes throughout the whole album. Yeah, we have the next track here, Big Shot with Travis Scott, the penultimate track of this project, which I am very thankful for because I am almost done talking. Then I don't have to say a single word ever again for the rest of my life. I'm kidding. But Pray For Me is the next track after Big Shot. But Big Shot is a Kendrick Lamar song with Travis Scott on here. And man, he is milking the fuck out of that new Freezer verse. Like, good God, he is trying to get every ounce of use out of that new Freezer verse. He has used this verse to fucking death, and it's a good verse. I like it a lot. And I'm a sucker for a good flute beat. Like, if you put a flute on a beat, I'm probably gonna be interested in it. I don't know what it is. I just like flutes on a rap beat. Now, Travis Scott on this song feels like his verse from Portland. If you ever heard Portland, a Drake song off of More Life, I believe, Portland has Travis Scott and Quavo on it. It kind of gives me vibes of that song here. Travis's performance on here feels even more low-key than Portland, because on Portland it feels like when he hops on, he takes over the whole song and the song is just a Travis Scott song for a couple seconds, which is fine. But on this song it feels like Travis Scott is just a visitor. He's just popping on the song just to chill out, and you know, it's fine. I feel like the flows on both of these aren't fucking crazy. And quite honestly, even though this is a Kendrick Lamar track, and you know, I'm Mr. Kendrick Lamar, this song feels like a filler track to me. This song doesn't, like, I know this is supposed to be the big celebration song. It doesn't feel that exciting. It doesn't feel as exciting of a song as some of these other tracks. Like All the Stars, that's more of a celebratory track to me. Paramedic, that's more of a celebratory track for me. When I listen to Big Shot, it just doesn't inspire the type of hype that I think it is intending to. Now, I think that is on me, because you put Travis Scott on the song, people are going to turn the fuck up because it's Travis Scott. I don't care about Travis Scott like that. The only reason I've seen him live in concert is because I saw Kendrick in concert, and I cared about Kendrick, and Travis Scott was the opener. So, like, I just do not care about Travis Scott like that. I think he's fine, but it's just, it's whatever. Like, sure, whatever, Travis Scott, fine. But yeah, I think this song, I don't think it's meant to be polarizing. I think I'm just weird. I think I just don't care for Travis Scott like that. I think I would want something a little bit more substantial from Kendrick. Definitely feels like Kendrick is just coasting on the majority of that new Freezer verse for most of this track. This feels like we're stretching his talents a little bit thin at this point, because it feels like Kendrick's just like, it feels like Kendrick maybe worked on this track a little, like when I said earlier that he worked on this album during his tour, this song feels like it, which is, you know, somewhat damning. So yeah, Big Shot, I don't even want to say it's a bad track, because I do not think it is an awful track, but it is just so whatever to me. It's very limp compared to a lot of these other songs, and it's supposed to be the big We Saved the Day track. I've already talked about earlier. I think there are some other tracks that fit that criteria a lot better. But that takes us to this last track here, Pray For Me by The Weeknd featuring Kendrick Lamar. And I like this track the more I listen to it. This track, I feel like this track got a little bit overplayed back in the day when the movie came out, because this is the one that they used for all the trailers and everything. But man, I just like this track a lot. I feel like The Weeknd's like, so he has a voice that is like so sultry, so like not operatic, but it's just so like, he has such like a cinematic voice. Cinematic is a good way. He has such a cinematic voice that it contrasts very well with the beat, because the beat is very like boom. it's like very like sinister and foreboding, but The Weeknd sounds so pretty on it, where it's kind of like a very like opposite type of sounds clashing into one, and I think it sounds really good. It feels like the car chase beat of the earlier track Ops, but it kind of contrasts because The Weeknd slows it down a little bit and makes it not so like intense. He kind of removes a little bit of that hard edge there with his voice, so I really like that. And then of course Kendrick fits on this beat a lot. He fits on it very well. His verse kind of goes over the general issues of the world and how it's in need of a hero, and then T'Challa revealing Wakanda to the world makes him the hero that the world needs. So just tying that back into the movie itself, so I really like that. And I should say, just to tie other things in that I was talking about, Seasons, I do feel like that ties into the movie just because, you know, the rough stuff that Killmonger went through his life. I feel like this is maybe what Killmonger's last thoughts were of how hard his life was until, you know, he's in this final fight with T'Challa and dies. And then Big Shot, of course, being the celebratory We Saved the Day track at the end of the movie. So both of those make sense. Pray For Me, like I said, I feel like it is end credits energy because it's kind of going over the entire theme of the movie, where the entire world feels like it needs a hero, the entire world feels like it needs chaos, and then at the end of the movie, T'Challa reveals that Wakanda has been here the whole time, and he is now, not only is he the person saving the world as an actual hero, as the Black Panther, but it also feels like, hey, we are here to show you what Black excellence can be, to put in these programs throughout the world and help the Black youth of the world. It's great. I love it. I like the little yelps and the chants in the background as the song wraps up in the back end. And I love the big end credits energy it gives. It really gives a great and impactful end to this project overall. And yeah, overall, I think this is a very, very good track and a very, very good ending to what is a pretty good album. And just overall, my thoughts on the Black Panther album, I think it's a pretty good collection of songs. It's not like the greatest thing in the world. I feel like I haven't been giving ratings to these albums as I've been talking about them, but just to give a rating to this one, because I'm thinking about it, this is a solid 8 out of 10, where there aren't any like, oh my god, this is the greatest song of all time tracks. There are a couple of like 9 out of 10 tracks, but there's no 10 out of 10 tracks. I don't feel like there's anything on here that's like a dog shit song. There's some songs on here that just flop a little bit, that just don't hit as hard as I think they were hoping they would. But overall, I think, there's a lot of quality on this album. I think, a lot of great features on here. This album got me into Georgia Smith, which I am super appreciative of, and I will be listening to more from her in the near future. But yeah, as far as like a Kendrick Lamar project, I think Kendrick is sprinkling a little bit of himself here and there throughout the project, but I don't feel like this is a Kendrick Lamar like coming out of his mind. I don't feel like this is a piece of art from him. As I said at the beginning of this feels like a TDE family reunion. This feels like a Top Dog Entertainment family reunion. Let's get SZA up in here. Let's get Schoolboy. Let's get J-Rock. Let's get Ab-Soul. And let's get all of our friends from around the industry. Let's get The Weeknd in here because we work with them. Let's get Reason's also here. Reason's on TDE, and I told you how much I love Reason. I think it's just, a way to get all these people from TDE on here in a very high profile way, and also play around with some, frequent collaborators like your Vince Staples and whatnot. So yeah, that's what I think about Black Panther. Pretty solid album, but this is going to be the seed that the big commercial explosiveness of Kendrick Lamar grows from when we come out with Damn in the following year after this. I think it was after this. When did Damn come out? It's 2017, right? I don't actually know. But yeah, it was around this time frame, I want to say. I'm a little bit foggy on time because I've been talking for a long time. But in any case, we're about to dip up out of here. Once again, for the last and final time, let's do some housekeeping at the end of this video. If you want to see any of the other music videos or music related videos that I have done on my channel, you can go ahead and look in the description. I have a playlist there for all my music discussion videos. You can listen to me talk about all types of albums from all types of things, from all types of genres, mainly being pop or R&B or hip hop. Those are the genres I like generally, so that's what I'm going to be talking about there. Also, you can follow me on Twitter At EJSpun61 is the Twitter account, and you'll see a link to that in my description as well. Also, if you want to check out the podcast that I do, the Players Club podcast, the episode for this week is going to be late because I've literally been doing these videos the entire week, so I haven't made time to get that podcast up. But the Players Club podcast is a weekly video games podcast that I do, so you can go ahead and check that out in the description as well. And when Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers comes out at the end of the day that this video is coming up, I am so excited for it, even though I'm really tired on the mic right now. But when that comes out, I do plan on making a review for it. It will most likely be a VGU.TV review, which is the website that I write for. That's where my Players Club podcast is. VGU.TV is the website you can see that written review at. It will go there as soon as I feel like it. I'm not even gonna give myself, a strict time frame, because to be quite frank with you, I've been thinking critically about Kendrick Lamar for the whole last week. I would like to just enjoy the music without thinking about how to write about it. So I'm gonna take at least probably a week to just listen to the album, and then when I have stuff to say, I will write stuff down and put out that review at a later date. So I will let y'all know about it. But yeah, if you want to see all the stuff that I've written at VGU.TV, I have a link down there as well where you can check out all the stuff I've written, including my Kanye West Donda review, including my Everything Everywhere All at Once movie review. You can check out all that stuff there. And that's all I got for y'all today. I am not going to go to sleep. I am going to stop talking, and I'm going to edit this video. I'm going to upload this video, and then I will be done with this series. And I'll be very happy about it, because I love Kendrick Lamar so much, but like when I thought about doing this project, I did not know it would be so draining to me. So we're finally at the end of it. I'm gonna chill on content creation for a hot minute, but hopefully y'all enjoyed this. I'll come back when I have more stuff to talk about. I did talk about wanting to do some older album reviews. Maybe I do want to do a video review of the Chloe and Halle album from about a year or two ago. I really love that album. That's one of my favorites. I have the vinyl up on my wall, so in all likelihood I'll be doing that at some point. And of course, when later albums that I'm super excited about come out, I will be doing reviews of those. I know Marlon Craft's about to drop something as well. I do not care about the Jack Harlow album that just came out. I listened to it, but I don't have enough thoughts to make a video about it. But when things come out, I'll make videos, or I'll write about them on VGU.TV, or, so on and so forth. You'll hear content from me. Follow me on Twitter, like I said. But that's all I got for y'all today. Thank y'all for everything. Can't wait to listen to this Kendrick Lamar album. God bless all of us. God bless you. And as I always say, keep it real, keep it trill, and let's get to stepping, y'all. Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers coming out soon. Peace out.
Wade, that wasn't...
Seriously, roll credits. We're done here.